rental homes on the market now, as a matter of fact. But are you going to be able to rent it for the amount of your mortgage payment?
Right, right.
So anyway, now I have an article, and it kind of goes a little bit further into the job situation, and it talks about, it's actually from the American Bar Association Journal, and it just talks about lawyers. And I don't think people, quietly as it's kept, I don't think people are aware that law firms are really hurting right now, and that the legal profession is really, it's contracting to a certain degree, and it's difficult being a lawyer and practicing law out here. Particularly, the layoffs, according to this article, are with those firms that have a business-to-business model. And it says that all law firm revenues on average last year fell. I shouldn't say all, but just on average, law firm revenues fell between 5 and 10% for the year, despite the fact that there's actually an increase in demand for legal services. So the services, the need for lawyers is not decreasing, but the ability for a firm to remain profitable is decreasing. And so as a result, normally it's like the first hired, first fired. And what this article is saying is that law firms are not only hiring associates, but it's going all the way up to the top. They're starting to hire partners, including equity partners. And so those would be lawyers that have been with a firm for a substantial time period.
They're cutting those people too, huh?
Right, they are. And then, and of course, I have another article. Oh, it's still, all of this is coming from the American Bar Association Journal, but it says that small town, Kansas City, Missouri, a hiring partner at a firm there said that he's been in recruiting lawyers for over 17 years, and he said for the first time he's getting resumes from Ivy League graduates, and he's getting resumes from prestigious New York law firms.
So they're going wherever they can then to find work.
Right, even to Kansas City, Missouri, and they said that many of the applicants are actually unemployed.
Yeah.
So it's not like how it was before, where you get a job before you lose your job. It's like you're losing your job and you're trying to find a job, and you're willing to go wherever you need to go to get a job. Another survey, once again, this is in the same journal, but it just kind of quotes a survey done by LexisNexis, and they said that 21% of all law students now regret attending law school.
Well, I guess if the job market's that bad, just like anything, it's going to affect their potential for when they get out of school, for finding work in that field.
Right. They said here that according to their survey, 43% of all law firms had layoffs, 33% had hiring freezes, and 29% deferred start dates for new employees, and 26% reduced their salaries. So it's a profession, I guess, where how normally every year you get a pay increase. It looks like you're getting pay decreases.
So it just shows you how widespread everything is. It's affecting, I don't know if there's an industry, probably not too many industries that that it's not affecting the economy. It's
right. And then it says, to complicate the problem, and this is once again that business-to-business model, a lot of the companies that hire law firms feel that the law firms are too profitable. And so the corporations are really pressuring the law firms to do something to lower their fees. And so one of the things that they're doing to lower their fees that lawyers charge is they're outsourcing legal work. And a lot of legal work is being outsourced to, I know they're being outsourced to India, and it's my understanding that I think they're going to start to outsource law work to China, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that's kind of interesting, because I would think that if a firm's going to go to India, how would they know our laws, especially state-to-state laws? And
right. Well, what they're doing is, they can't practice law here. So, but what they can outsource, things like legal research can be outsourced. I would think contract drafting. You're right. They would have to be aware of the particular state law. But if you are trained as a lawyer, it doesn't take a lot to get up to speed on another state's law. So, so what they're doing, they said, is that companies are are unbundling services. So instead of hiring a firm to do a complete job for them, they whatever the job is that they need done, they divide it up into specific tasks, and then some of those tasks are given to lawyers here in the States, and some of those lawyers are I'm sorry, some of those tasks got transferred to foreign nations. I mean, to India. They're being outsourced.
And just like so many of our customer service jobs went over there.
Right,
For a lot of
exactly.
companies.
Exactly. So this article, I guess what it's saying is that outsourcing firms now is a good career path for job hunting lawyers.
Interesting.
So so now I guess instead of practicing law, you can work for an outsourcing firm, and work with the corporations and assist them in breaking down their jobs into small tasks and transferring their jobs overseas.
Just like everything else, it seems like we're losing jobs.
Right.
Manufacturing, and now we're losing all these service sector jobs to lower pay workers overseas.
Right. So just because there's the myth out here that I think people sometimes think lawyers make a ton of money and stuff, and there are some that really do. But just like everyone else, everyone seems to be hurting right now. It's going from the top down to the bottom, from the bottom up to the top.
Okay, and I have an article here. This is an article. It's don't ask me how to pronounce it, but it's Zinuet.com, and this is an article about Mexico City in particular. Mexico City has had 8,500 business closures this year, in the first 10 months of this year. And the other thing is that this says that 8 to 10% of the city's businesses are hit by this. So, and the worst have been auto dealers, white goods, realtors, and furniture shops being the worst hit.
Okay.
The other thing is that Mexico's economy has declined by 10.3% in the second quarter. And this is a result of the economic downturn coupled with the outbreak of the H1N1 flu, with Mexico City as epicenter. If you remember how bad they were hit and everything closed down.
Right, I do remember.
You put that on top of an economy that's having problems, and those have been really scary things. And tourists have been scared away, and so that's really hurt Mexico because Mexico has a lot of tourism from especially from the United States during the months of April and May. And then they've actually also the government then has now gone into raising taxes. And they were hoping that the tax increases would not translate into an inflationary bubble and that prices would return to a normal level in January or February. So the Mexican government raised taxes in its budgets. The taxes will go into effect in January. So according to the forecast, Mexico's economy will recover in 2010 as the demand for Mexican goods picks up in the United States. The United States actually consumes about 80% of the Mexican-made imports, it says here. So
that's a lot. I didn't know that we consumed 80% of their imports.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So I mean, to a certain extent, it makes sense.
Right. You have another article? The one about the
Yeah. This is an article. This particular article from the same source. It's talking about clean energy technology. They said this is going to become the third largest industrial sector. This was a report released at the UN Climate Summit in Copenhagen and anticipated that industry would be worth more than $2.3 trillion in 2020, ranking behind automobiles and electronics.
Okay.
And so the United States is not the only country. Actually, some of the leading clean energy countries right now are in sales relative to gross domestic product are Denmark, Brazil, and Germany, and China came in 6th. United States actually came in 19th, and that is a percentage of GDP.
The United States is 19th?
As a percentage-wise, Now, in total dollars, Germany was the leading absolute sales of clean energy technologies, followed by United States, and China was ranked 4th. So we, it's just in, as a percentage, we weren't that high.
Okay.
But they're saying that this is basically that the clean energy is going to be a way of the future, something for people to invest in. They're saying here.
And so that might also be an industry to look at if you're looking, if you're still in school. Maybe if you want to, if there are jobs in that area.
Right. Looks like it's a growing sector.
Right.
The wave of the future.
Right. So that would be, I guess, when you had asked before about, or that one article that we had gone through before, where it said that people have a skill set for an economy that doesn't exist anymore. I guess it's important to have an idea as to where the future trends are, particularly if you're in school, and that way you can prepare yourself for the way things are, not the way they were in the past.